Hey everyone, welcome to our first community call in 2023. I'm joined by Boegie, one of our amazing community members. He is awesome and we're glad to have him here. And we have a lot of awesome things planned for you today, but more importantly, we're going to have an amazing conversation with Boegie, talk about the plugin that he's been building and some of the awesome things he wants to share with you if you are looking to consider building plugins. But let's jump into it without any ado. Thank you for joining us at Community Call, January 2023. And let us know in the comments how you all doing. I hope you all had amazing holidays and happy new year. And today we're going to talk about what's been happening. We're going to talk about roadmap updates, what is going on. We're going to have our amazing chat with Boegie, and then we're going to leave some time for Q&A and go from there. So what has been happening? It's Happy New Year. It's 2023, which is amazing. I hope you all and your families had a fabulous time, wonderful time. I hope that all of you are doing amazing and had a great celebration for 2023. And we want to thank you for all your support from Strapi team, everybody here, for everything that you have done and supported us. And happy holidays from the whole Strapi team. And thank you for helping us to reach 50K stars on GitHub. It's such an amazing accomplishment. We can't thank you all enough because without the community, without the users, this project would not be anywhere. So it is amazing, amazing to have everybody here. And before we continue, let's quickly say hello to everybody in the chat. We have Louis here saying hello. We have Daniel saying hello. Amazing to have all these amazing people. Soham saying hello. Welcome, welcome. Greetings from Denver, Colorado. Great, amazing place. This is awesome. And Daniel, of course, from Paris. How's the weather there? Man, this is one of the reasons I love Austin, Texas. During winter, it's not that bad. It's pretty warm here. So moving on, continuing on. So we, in the last quarter, because we're in a new quarter now, we released custom fields, API token, and we started making progress on DEITS, audit logs, and relationship reordering, which is all amazing. And throughout the year, we accomplished so much. And I'm really, really hyped and excited for the fact that we went from idea phase for Strapi Cloud to a point where now it's getting closer and closer to release to everybody in waves. And so if you haven't jumped on the cloud beta Strapi waiting list, go ahead and check it out. It is amazing because if you're struggling with figuring out or you don't even want to deal with being able to deploy your website, you just want to create stuff, have an easy way to deploy it and not worry about Strapi Cloud might be for you. So if you want to learn more about it, you could join our waiting list because it helps you to abstract away all the deployment and hosting complexity without compromising all the cool things you have with Strapi. And so you can join the waiting list. I will throw the link in the chat. If you haven't jumped on the cloud waiting list, go ahead and do so. It'll be amazing to have you all there.
You should probably remove the name of the people. Hello, thank you for greetings from Paris because it's in the way of your slide.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I will do that. I still, you would think because I'm using StreamYard all the time, I would remember these things. But thank you for reminding me, Boegie. This is awesome. So we're gonna continue. And I went too far. So most of you know we had an amazing run with Strapi v3, but now it's at the end of road for Strapi 3. And what this means is that we are no longer going to do any new updates for Strapi v3. And so if you're looking to migrate, we do have amazing resources for migration. You could check out our documentation. We have our migration YouTube playlist. And you could also join our Discord where we could help you with some of the questions from with the community to help you on the process. And I will add all these links in the description below after this video as well as throw them in the chat, which will be great. And so another reminder, we have Discord events. So if you're not on Discord, go and join Strapi Discord. You could, I'll share the link for Discord in just a moment. And what's awesome, we every Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. CST time, we have open office hours. It's an amazing way to engage with the community and give you a place to come by, ask questions, have a chat with us, and share what you're building. And it's always fun. We don't just talk about technical stuff. It's a lot of fun, but we also help and answer questions as well. So that is pretty cool. And the second thing that we do every third week of every month, we have our Strapi development best practices. It's every Wednesday, 1 p.m. CST. Derek and I, mostly Derek with his expertise opinion. Awesome. We're so glad to have him on the team. But we talk about the deeper and more intermediate topics of using Strapi, specifically how it pertains to Strapi development and creating custom controllers, creating resolvers. How do lifecycle methods work? So all those things, if you're wondering about them, Strapi development best practices is a good place for you to go. And we do have already few sessions that were recorded. So if you missed them, you could check them out and you could find them on our Discord channel. Really cool. And quickly, let's talk about roadmap updates. For our next release, which is going to be January 25th, we are looking to have relation reordering and the V1 version of data import and export, which will allow you to import and export your data from Strapi. We're also going to have audit log, but that's for our enterprise customers. And so you don't have to wait till January 25th because you could try both these features, data import and export and relation reordering, in the beta release that you could get now. So what's in the works for Strapi 4.6.0 coming up? So we did just mention relations reordering, which is now currently in beta, but will be released on January 25th. So you could go and start playing with it now. And more importantly, DEITS, which stands for Data Export, Import, Transfer. Oh my gosh. Systems. Thank you. I was like, what is it? It's like DEITS makes sense already, but we need to put systems there, make sure it's in beta. You can export and import your data from your Strapi application. You could, import, you could encrypt the data. You could use password protection, and we'll do a quick demo to kind of show you how it works. And because I want to spend more time chatting with Boegie today, I kind of prepared my notes ahead of time to showcasing how DEITS works so we could kind of go through it quickly. So if you want to give it a try, and I'll put this command in the chat, you could try out the beta. You will do npx create/strapi/app at 4.6.0 -beta.1, and you will create a project. We'll have that available to you. And so once you create the project, you basically do everything the same. You set up your Strapi instance. You add some content types. So I create a basic thing called post. We have title, content, slug, image, and user, which will create a relationship to admin user. And I created a couple of posts, 4 posts, and very basic stuff. And inside the post, we did add a relationship to our admin user as the author of the articles. And so now we're going to take a look at the command. Once you get Strapi running, you'll have access to our Strapi CLI, and you could literally run yarn Strapi help export. And this is the output you have with all the different flags that you have. And to show you that this does work, let me go into here. Let me stop the server, run yarn Strapi help export. And so here we are. We have all our options that we have available. And so what we're going to do, we're going to focus on exporting these for posts and saving them to be able to import them later into another application, or if you want to import it back into this one, it's perfectly fine. And so the command we're going to run yarn Strapi export no encrypt, and then we're going to point to the file where we want to save the data. So I'm going to use this command. I'm going to go into my terminal and I'm going to paste it in, and I'll share that in a markdown document, and I'll link in the description below if you're interested to seeing my notes. And so now we do yarn Strapi export no encrypt. And here you could see all the things that were exported, and it was done. And our total export was 9 megabytes. And you're probably wondering, where does the file go? So here we are. We have our DEITS no encrypt folder. I'm going to reveal in Finder just to kind of showcase here. Let me move.
Also, you should probably add 2 notes. You should not unencrypt your exports, normally speaking, in production.
Yes, 100%. That is very important, but for the sake of the demo, I'm trying to do the easiest way possible, but definitely check out all the available commands. And so you get this, let me zoom in, too much, tar.gz file. And if you open it, and I'm only opening just to kind of show you the contents, but so you could see you have all your different tables were nice, amazing files. So if you look at entities, you'll have our json.l file open with VS Code, maybe. Come on, open with. Okay, I'll open in text editor. So it's basically JSON file where you have all your data, and it's in line similar to what you would find in the CSV files. And you could jump more into it to take a look yourself by trying the beta, but I just wanted to show you that how it works, how it does it. So now we exported our files.
You probably also do another quick note about there are two things that don't get exported, right? The users and permissions users.
Yep.
And admin users.
100%. And that's exactly something I was going to talk about a little bit later, because once we import the data, we'll see that our relation to our admin user is missing. And I was going to add that note here. So moving on here, we did the export. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into here. So let me delete this one because this one we don't need. I'm going to go into my database and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to delete my database, move to trash. So that's it. Data is gone. If I try to run my Strapi project at the moment, yarn develop, and you'll see that I have to, let me move the screen here. Boop, 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 boop. I refresh here. You see that, oh no, I have to create another user. Why? Because I just deleted my database. So if I go ahead and do that, Paul, my last name so long that it takes forever to type, at strapi.io. Password, of course, monkey1234. Why not? Because that's the most secure password in the world, monkey1234. And when I sign in, I go to my content manager. No posts. They're gone because I killed my database. So now we're going to use the import feature to add the data back in. So we talked about the files that we get back. It showed about the folder. So we deleted our local database. And now you could use that same command, yarn strapi help import, to take a look and see what options you have available to you. So very straightforward using VS CLI. And so you could see all the different flags that you could provide. Again, we're going to stay on the simple side, and we're going to use yarn strapi import, and we're just going to point to the file that we have exported. So I'm going to go ahead into my terminal, paste that in, and it's going to do its magic thing. And keep a note here, the import will delete all data in your database. Are you sure you want to proceed? So this will completely override any previous things you had in the database. We click yes, and boom, it imports our data. It's done. And to double check that it works, I'm going to do yarn develop. And like Boegie alluded to, you're going to see when we get back to our application, right? I'm going to refresh. And perfect. We have our data here. It's important. But the thing that Boegie alluded to that I wanted to show here is that you're not going to export and import your admin users and
permission users.
And yes, permission users. Thank you. So now notice here where before where I had a relationship set, it's no longer set. So I would have to set that to that user that I had. And so that's the basic gist of it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a I'm going to share this markdown notes that I had here, and I'll make sure to add them to the description of the video after the stream. So this way, anybody who's interested and want to have a process that you could follow to try this out, you could go ahead and do that. And with that being said, we did our quick demo. Now it's our community showcase where we showcase a plugin, a community member, and without any further ado, of course, Boogie's been with us for a while now.
Hello.
He is here. We're going to chat with him, and we're going to talk about getting started with plugin development. We're going to talk about the register function and other things. And at any time, if you have questions, let us know. So let me bring the screen like this for now. So
Yes.
Before we get and dive in too far, Boegie, can you introduce yourself? Tell us how long you've been involved in the community and what's it been like?
For 1 or 2 months in the community at this point.
Nice.
And mostly it was just because I was doing my job and they wanted to basically migrate from WordPress to something else. So that's how I came in contact with Strapi. So the boss said, you maybe go to use Strapi. So I thought I'm going to look at that. That's how I came here.
Nice.
And then I started using Strapi. And of course, Strapi isn't perfect. No programming thing is perfect.
Yeah.
So one of the issues I walked into is basically that if you use populate, you can populate more than you would allow normal users to populate in some cases.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of work to basically fix that. So I wrote a plugin that basically makes it visible, so you can visually change that.
That is awesome. So before we dive into your plugin, like you said, there's no solution that's 100% perfect for any use case. But the thing that I love about Strapi, and this is kind of like the use case that you outlined, if there's something that you want to add to it or change, we have this plugin ecosystem where you're able to add additional functionality with plugins, and that's exactly what you did. So if you want to share your screen and walk us through it, your plugin, and I know that we can't talk about all of plugin development today, but we could pick at some important areas and talk about those.
If my Strapi wants to load, yes, it does. Share screen. Then I am going to this one, share. Can you see my screen now?
Let me put it on the boom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's happening. And let us know if we need to zoom in a little bit. You might have to zoom in just a tad on the, there you go. There you go. Nice.
Basically, I have a plugin basically wherein I can select a route. So let me create actually a new one. I can simply select any route for any plugin or any API. There's a get route. And for example, my API route test. And I need to select, I need to do it correctly. I need to select my API route test. They tell what content type it is. So the content type is test2. In this case, I chose the test2 route. I finish. Now I can open it. And I can select here what I want to test relation. I want to basically be visible. Everything I select here basically becomes visible for the end user.
Wow.
Everything that's unselected won't be visible at all.
That's slick. That's awesome.
And I'm currently working on an update to allow it to work with user and permission. So now this screen is almost the same. Only what I can do differently in this case is I can add a new user. For example, the authenticated user as well. This is still in very early beta, so this isn't yet in the plugin itself. I'm still working on this.
Nice. Yeah, and that's awesome. So basically, so described, again, the issue that you're running into, just to reiterate.
The issue I was running into basically is that I could populate something. Like I can show it in here.
Yep.
Then I could populate back in some cases. For example, let me just select something else. For example, right?
Yep.
You want, let me just select here. For example, I want to go to user and permission / user.
Yeah.
I have a relationship with the course. But the course also has a relationship with the user.
Right.
So I could go back and forth and get more information than I should be able to get about the user, as an example.
Yeah. And so when you call when you make a request, what does the JSON object looks like?
Let me open this. Basically, this is my syntax. Basically, almost the same. So basically,
okay, nice.
Populate.
Nice.
And I can actually, let me actually save it really quickly. Then I need to close this one again. Save it. Then it should, after it restarted my Strapi instance, because I'm in development mode.
Yeah.
If this plugin uses fails, it needs to restart my Strapi. That actually should already change the file, and I have now the new populate as well.
Wow, so nice.
So multiple times.
Yeah, so that's created by the plugin for you, right? So that makes it
exactly
easier for you to have, basically, instead of writing it yourself, you are able to do all that from the admin UI.
Instead of writing it yourself manually 1,000 times for the 1,000 vouchers you're going to have at some point, you do it all by the plugin.
Yeah, and so that is amazing, because here's the thing that I was going to say. It's you found a use case, you found a struggle for something that would have been nicer if there's an easier way of doing, and you literally went ahead and created a plugin which now adds this functionality to Strapi. And so this is the cool part about plugins, is that anything within, that you want to add and or extend functionality of Strapi, you can do with plugins. And I know a lot of people look, we work really, really hard at Strapi. We have a lot of stuff going on, and we have our development team. No one in Strapi is sitting and not doing anything. Everybody's working really hard. So sometimes when people ask questions or have feature requests, it's not that we don't see them. It's just that we have a lot of things on our plate. And so what I want to applaud Boegie for is he saw a need, and he went ahead and he created a plugin himself. He didn't wait for anybody. And so can you talk us through just briefly the plugin development process, and what do you think the most important thing we should talk about? I know you were mentioning
basically
the
what I am
function.
doing is register function. I find the most important thing. I can basically integrate with all other plugins and everything else in Strapi through the register function. What I do, for example, in here is I insert a middleware into any route I want, an existing route.
Nice.
Also Daniel, and from the Netherlands. Nice. In Ruben, I mean Rubek. I'm from the Netherlands. Thank you for asking from where I'm from.
Nice.
But basically, I can insert anything in my thing. But I can also, if I open my console, new terminal, and I run npm run npm run Strapi console. Just probably close this one. Let's wait until it starts. npm run basically console gives you an interactive Strapi instance. So that means everything I do in the plugin, I can also do in here. For the most part, I can show it off. What I can basically do is strapi.plugins. And now I have all access to all the plugin register functions and all the plugin functions basically. So if I, for example, go to plugin, let's say I want to go to user and permissions plugin, right? Users dash permissions. And let's say this time I want to change the content type from the user and permissions plugin, because I need to do that dynamically in my plugin, because I want to add a shopping cart to the user for some reason.
Yep.
Then I can go to content types. Dot content types. It's not allowed. Wait, why is it not? It's doing this. Dot. Yes, content types. I get back basically content type.
So before we get too far, maybe some of our viewers are not familiar with Strapi console. Can you just talk about what Strapi console is? And I see that
Strapi console is basically an interactive version of Strapi. So everything in Strapi you normally do through the Strapi command, right?
Yep.
Everywhere you use Strapi is basically this. This all Strapi contains you can use in here and see in here. So basically use a very interactive version of Strapi where you can basically see everything and can just go down and down and down into the rabbit holes of Strapi.
Yeah, and so you can use and explore Strapi console to look up all the different things that you have, and you could literally figure out how to or which commands to call, which you could then use in your plugin or your code. Yeah, use those functions.
The only thing is you cannot change it in here, because you can only change this in the register function. So the register function is basically special in the case because it runs before everything goes basically from the files in memory to the finished product.
Yeah. So
because you do it in that stage, you can basically change whatever you want and it will respect your changes.
Nice.
So I'm not going to do this time. I can, for example, if I were to basically add something inside of here, I, for example, add a new attribute. If I want to do that, I need to add an attribute in here and also attribute in the schema. Because in here, I also need to add it then.
Yeah.
If I add it in both places, then I can add a new content type in there, for example, into the user and permissions plugin dynamically.
Yeah.
The same thing is also, for example, for middleware. That can be very useful. Because sometimes, for example, when I want to protect my routes, I need to do it somehow. And using middleware is the most destructive way I can do that.
Yep.
Because I'm not changing any other code except for adding my own custom middleware.
Yep.
That's basically what you can do a lot more with this. For example, if I go back to Strapi console and just go to the user and permissions plugin, I have access to the routes, right? So I can just I will show you .routes. And I want to go, then you can choose between the content type and between the admin API and the content API.
Yep.
So I say I want to go to the content API. Of course, I cannot type. Then I have all my routes in here. I can, for example, go to the, let's say I can just select a random route in here. Let's say route 10 or route, wait, I need to do routes again. Yep, routes dot, let's say 10. What's route 10? Route 10 is find user, is user.find. Then I see this as a previous authentication flag in this case.
Yeah.
So basically here you can basically see, and here if you want to edit the configuration, you just can do that. You can just insert stuff into here dynamically.
Nice.
So I can just say config dot, you can just go here.
Yep.
And do .config, and then you add something in the register function.
Right.
So basically allow me to add a middleware in here and policy in here, anything I want.
So the basic idea is you could explore console, find out all the things to see how everything is, where it lives, and then how you could have access to it. And if you want to make any changes or add anything, you recommend doing it in the register function, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's for basically, register is basically almost the same as an extension, basically.
Yeah. Nice.
It's comparable.
Yeah. So what use cases, like for your project, have you found that you were doing in your register function that you wanted to implement?
Like I'm saying, I have in here in my plugin, I'm inserting a custom middleware.
Yep.
So I just get the route from the route, and before I just check for what kind of route it is.
Yep.
So I don't want any admin routes. And I want all the API content API routes.
Yep.
Then just add the routes to a list. Then as soon as it's deep enough, then it will basically just call my function. But in this case, insert middleware. But basically goes over all the routes. Check if the path and the methods are the same as what I want to have. So that I get, for example, I only want to always do the get methods because it's the only method I want to edit in my case. Then check if the path is equal to the path I'm currently thinking I'm on.
Yeah.
Or for the plugin. Then check if the config is equal to nil, I can add a new config if it doesn't exist.
Yep.
And here I'm adding some custom data to, for example, also the configuration. So that later, if I go to my middlewares,
yep,
I can just read the information from the config.
Nice.
Of the route. So they're basically my two use cases I'm using it for currently in my own plugin.
Nice.
So that's basically what
Yeah. No, that's cool. And so basically, for anybody that's starting out with plugins, like obviously, like if you've never done it before, it could be a daunting task. We do have a how to get started with plugin development playlist on YouTube. It's really beginner friendly. But in your process, like what was your process kind of like diving into plugin development, and like how did you supplement your learning? Because it's true, sometimes there's certain things that we don't even think of that might not be in our documentation. So what's some of the tips you have had for us?
Basically, what I mostly just did is, first of all, read the documentation, of course. Second of all, basically, so you have documentation. That's the most important thing for me. If it's in documentation, you can always find it. Secondly, writing a Strapi plugin is almost the same code as basically writing just a normal something else in Strapi, basically. You'll have a little bit more control over it.
Yeah.
And it's basically just a box it's in. So instead of it being in your main box of your content types, it's in your plugin box.
Right.
And then basically also just going, for example, to other plugins. For example, if I want to make, for example, let's say I want to make a custom field.
Yeah.
Then we'll go to the Strapi custom field plugin that you guys made. That in your case would be the color picker.
Yep.
And so basically you can just look at stuff and basically find out from other plugins what you don't understand already.
Yeah. No,
what have they done before?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I remember I asked you a question about something. You're like, hey, like the email plugin already shares some of the similar functionalities that you're looking for. And you're like, and instead of like trying to bug you down with like random questions, like, because like what very important is like, and this is very important is, and when I first started learning development, I would bug people with questions without trying to Google things, without trying to look for things in code, trying to break things, fix things myself first. You need to do all that stuff first. And the best way to get experience, and I know it sounds kind of like silly, but look at pre-existing plugins that exist, copy them to your local computer and go through the code line by line, try to move things around, try to break things, try to fix things, and you'll get a better understanding. So that is like a really, really good tip, is to go check out existing plugins that we already have and look at the examples. And obviously you could also have a conversation on Discord about what we're doing.
Somebody just posted reclame in the Twitch chat. Can you delete that, please?
Yeah, that's on Twitch, and so I'm not currently on Twitch, but
all right,
yeah, so that's fine. It's not gonna show up on YouTube either, but it's fine. It happens. Live streams sometimes is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, and so another thing, since we were talking about development, I know a lot of people want to kind of, participate in Strapi, and sometimes they find bugs, sometimes they find something, and they'll just go and create an issue. I'm not saying it's all of you in the chat right now watching the stream, but it has happened where people will go ahead and say, this is broken, period, and not give any context, and not like, so what do you recommend people try to do, like if they want to submit an effective issue to Strapi?
First of all, if you want Derek or somebody else from the issue team to even look at it, fill out all the information in the ticket. Like your node version, like what version of Strapi you're using, that kind of information.
Yeah.
If you don't even fill it in, nobody will even look at your question. They'll just close it.
So number one, the instructions that we have on how to fill up a bug, make sure you fill out all the information. No exception, because we get a lot, everybody is busy, so we want to work efficiently and effectively. So that makes sense. So fill out the information correctly. What's next?
Secondly, if you get an issue, for example, on error code, first, for example, Google it, or first look at what is causing the error. So basically try to backtrace the error. For example, if one of your routes isn't working functionally, so for example, your route is returning a 404 error. What's the first thing you do? You go and backtrace the route. So go to the route, then you check all the middlewares you're using, and you go step back, step back, step back. Until at some point you find out where the issue is lying, basically, where the issue is created. Also, another thing you need to remember, if you have any 500 errors, so internal server errors, the error is not in your console, it's not on the console on the PC, on the client PC. It's in your Strapi server, the error code. So please ensure you share the right error codes to us as well, to Strapi basically. To you guys actually, not to me. But yeah. That's basically mostly it for that part, because it's just mostly from, you need to try and backtrace your issues. And just try and see if you can find where the issue exactly is. Because how more specific you can be about the issue, the better the Strapi team can help you.
Yep. Yeah,
less time it costs them to basically figure out what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense. And everybody I know is at a different level of a developer. Like some people are better than others. Some people are still learning. And when I started using Strapi, before even working here, I started using it as a tool to help me get better at like front-end development. I just wanted to create a very easy API from which I could pull data. But as I started to play with Strapi, I was like, oh, it's like really powerful. It has so many customization features. And over time, I started learning more and more about it. So if you're new to Strapi and you're looking to get into like customizing, building plugins, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But like Boegie said, it's like, don't be shy to try to explore and backtrack like the code yourself to see like where's the issues causing. Give as much detailed information as you can. And if you're looking to kind of like, explore Strapi, and maybe it's like daunting to be able to fork the code yourself, like you could literally go on GitHub, and I'll kind of show you this example, something that I started to do more, and I'm just trying to.
You need to switch the feel, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring up Strapi GitHub. I type slow under pressure. Like when I talk, like I can't type. Like if I'm talking, my fingers are not working. That is basically how my body works. Yeah. And if I'm quiet, it's because I'm trying to type. So
basically, mostly for the people guys that have Strapi issues, also Strapi has a lot of undocumented features at this point. To be fair.
Yeah.
So if you look into an issue, you can always ask the community for answers.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can also just look into the code yourself and just see if there are any answers in the code.
Exactly. And this is kind of like what we're gonna, like, I'll show you the little trick I do, because I don't, like, if you don't have Strapi forked and pulled to your local dev and set up some, like, or you just want to quickly take a look at the code, something what I do, I'll show you in just a second, but talking about this app. So if you find something that is not documented in the documentation, go ahead and create an issue in our documentation GitHub repository to kind of talk to the documentation team, be like, hey, this is unclear, or this doesn't exist, because we constantly working to improve the documentation.
And also on a note, most of it isn't documented, is meant for internal use for Strapi.
Yes.
That means that can change at any given point without any warning.
Yes. So what Boegie is referring to, there are certain things that are not documented you might see in code being used, is you can call as experimental features that are not meant to be publicly open. And so like Boegie said, they could change at any given time. And that's why there's no documentation. But just for anybody interested, if you wanted to explore without getting Strapi downloaded to your computer, like you could open GitHub, you press period, and it's going to open it in VS Code. And what's awesome here, like for instance, like I'm kind of curious, like how like something is happening, how something works. And so like, for instance, I could go inside my Strapi, I'm like in settings, I'm like looking around, I'm like API token. Let's say, I'm like, where is this field? Where do I find this field? So you could like copy the name, and there's a couple of different ways to identify, and you could search for it inside, and you're like, oh wait, what's this? Oh, here it is. And then you find exactly in Strapi code where that field is. You could take a look how it's using Strapi design system, using our component library to build stuff, and you could start diving into the code, and you could explore the front end, you can explore the back end. So if you're starting out or you've been doing it for a while and you're just looking to look stuff up, don't be shy using the GitHub feature, open it in your VS Code and search for stuff, explore stuff. And you don't even need to add it to your local environment, which I think is pretty awesome and pretty cool. So any other tips that you have or things that you want to mention?
Also, on all different plugin developers, mostly you guys already do that already. Use Strapi design systems. Strapi has a design system thingy. So basically, design system repo. But there's a lot of React components already in there, but you can just use directly.
Yep.
Everything you don't have to make yourself is better than everything you make yourself.
Yeah.
Because how more you don't have to make yourself, how faster you can develop stuff, and how less time it will take you to, for example, make the specific React component you need.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're looking to get into plugin development, we do have our plugin development Strapi page, which I'll bring up in a second. But it does talk about like some of the basic resources you have, and it also talks about using the design system and the reason why, and all the other important items. And so if you are lost, you could check out the guidelines. And I'm having difficulties with my computer right now, so I'll share it in the chat. I apologize. But I'll make sure that you have the resources. I'm trying to speak and type
at the same time.
Once I find it, I'll share it in the chat. And so,
also, if you have any questions, you can already ask them in the chat, because we can do a Q&A, I think, in the middle this time. If
exactly.
You don't
mind. So let's start with Q&A. And if you have any questions, ask them in the chat, and we will answer them. Will I know every answer to every question? Probably not, but I will. Something that I don't know, and if Boegie doesn't know, we will definitely make a note of it and take a look and see. So, and if you see any questions,
we are sadly enough both not Derek. Derek knows everything. Derek is the god.
Yeah, exactly. Derek knows everything. Speaking of like Derek, and let me ask you a question. What is the proper etiquette asking question on Discord? Should you like be calling people out and tagging them in every question you have, or what is the process?
Mostly the process is of asking question in Discord is going to the questions channel and just posting your question in there.
Yes.
Most of the time people will answer it in there like in 24 hours.
Yes.
If you don't react, you can always post again with an extra, with the same, I have not had an answer yet. Then I'll put you back up to the top of the question list, basically.
Yeah.
But never ever take a Strapi staff member without basically their permission. And only take the people who have already reacted to your post. So if you post something in a question, and I give you an answer, from that point forward, you're allowed to tag me in the question, basically in the answer.
Yes, and that's very important to use proper etiquette. And here's, by the way, let me share my screen like really quickly. This is the page I was talking about. We have plugin resources page. There's a lot of great things. Let me throw this in the chat here for anybody looking to check it out. And speaking of like Discord question stuff, just like Boegie said, it's a community based.
Yes.
And the idea there, it's an open source project and it's powered by our community. And so something you have to understand is that everybody who's answering questions, we're trying to do our best in Discord. And at the same time, it's community driven. So it's not something like product customer support. It's more of a community that comes together to help each other out.
Also same for the forum, right? The forum has basically the same rules to it. So if it's something on the forum, you basically have the same rules.
Yeah. And so like, I've seen, I'm not saying it's any of you and watching the stream, but I've seen people like, I need this answer now. Like I have to finish this by tomorrow morning for my company that I work for. And number one, that's a really bad way to ask questions. And number two, it's like, that's not how our community works. Like the idea, everybody there is helping each other to answer questions, and we're giving our own time to help you out. So even though it might seem like it's product support from this, the standpoint, like you have a solution engineer and you ask them questions and they're there specifically for you, even though it might seem like that, like the idea is like all the answers are community driven and it's the whole part of the community to get involved. So the idea is not for you to jump on, ask your question without even giving anything back to the community and expecting an answer, then getting mad within 5 minutes, because you have to understand our Discord, this is an open source project. Our Discord is a community-led project. So the idea there is to have all of the community to be able to help each other out. And this is one of the reasons why Derek and I started the open office hours. If you really have a burning question and you really need to have an answer, we have open office hours Monday through Friday, 12:30 CST time. Just because both Derek and I live in the States, you could literally talk to us live and any concerns that you have, we could answer. But if you're using Discord, make sure you ask your questions in the general question format and understand that it's community-led, community-driven, and we don't have someone there 24/7 jumping on all the questions. And I wish I could, but you have to understand we all have our duties and things that we have to do. And the next open office time is going to be today at 12:30 CST time. And Marco, one of our PM, asked, and it's Monday through Friday. So the reason we did it, by the way, and then Simon saying hello, Boegie. He's
hello,
like
Simon.
Yes, he's another member of our community. But to answer like Marco's question, like the reason why Derek and I started the open office hours is because we wanted to make a place for people to be like we did not ever want to see things on Discord that say there's no one that I could talk to. No, you could come to office hours and we're there Monday through Friday. We will talk to you. So there's like, if you have like a burning question, just want to hang out, it is there. And we also started the best practices just for the standpoint, because I can't clone Derek or I can't clone Boegie. I can't clone Simon, right? I just can't do it, right? I can't clone myself. So we started doing best practices to create those videos to help to bring the knowledge up in our Strapi community to make more of our beginners to have resources that they could look at that then themselves could answer other people's questions. So I know it's hard. I know a lot of times you just want to find the answer to your question, but the way communities work is that we all have to help each other. And if I sound like I'm ranting right now, is because I'm very passionate, and I'm very big on this idea of people not just taking, but providing value back as together. So like, this is what I love about Boegie, like Simon, other people in the community, like they're taking their time to give something back to the community, and they're helping out of like goodness of the heart. And that is like how our community is led and driven. But, if you do have a question, if you're like, I tried, I have this big thing, I can't I need to talk to somebody. Open office hours that's one of the reasons, is to like for instance, if someone says there's nobody that's helped me in Discord, I tried everything, my question would be like, well, did you stop by to open office hours? And if the answer is no, it's like you didn't try everything. And
the other thing is as well, remember, right? The community answers are mostly given by community members.
100%.
So they won't be 100% correct 100% of the time.
Yeah.
If you really want a good answer that really 99% of the time works, you need to come to open office hours, because that is basically the moment to ask questions.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's why we have it there. And like, I'm just really passionate about community. I want to make sure that everybody there has an amazing experience, but at the same time, you do have to set realistic expectations of what it is. And one thing, it's not paid customer support. There's just one thing that I want to add. We go beyond the call of duty of answering and helping people out, but it's very important to understand is community driven place. And that's all I'm going to say on that. And if you want to argue with me, come join us on Discord, open office hours. We could take it there. But with that being said, like Boegie, thank you so much for your time. You've been also helping out and like standing out in the community, really helping a lot, going beyond the call of duty. So thank you for that. We really, really appreciate you. And anybody else from the community or who wants to join and stream to talk about cool stuff, hit me up on Discord. We could chat about it and go from there. And the last thing I want to do, let's take a look, see if you find any questions that I might have missed. Let's see here.
I don't really see that many questions.
Rubik has one. I think one of the major improvements that the documentation could have is to view interface and types easily. I have trouble typing my life cycles, even params, because I could quite find in the docs. And that'll be like a good issue to put on the documentation GitHub for sure. But I'll also take a note here.
Also, here's got another plugin ID I got for myself in a second ago.
Yeah. And here's I just want to touch this up quickly. So there was a question, when can we expect versioning from Strapi? And we are going to have it done. We did start working on certain things and realized that we do have to wait a little bit. We also like really spending a lot of time on the current features like DEITS, which has to be done. Very important. We are working on our cloud release. If you haven't jumped on the cloud Strapi waiting list, you could go ahead and jump on it. And
was there a major issue with content versioning that needs to be put out to v5?
Yes, and that's what I was saying. Like we have to wait for a version 5. And just to be fair, it's like, hey, he says that's the most important features for a lot of CMS. And yes, it is 100% true. And we are aware of it and we are working on it. It's just we have certain things that are in the workflow now. And then that issue that we ran into, we realized that we would have to do some underlying refactoring. So most likely that's going to be on top of the list and the next Strapi version, like Strapi 5. So I know, I apologize for that, but we do have, it's not that we're not thinking about it. We know how important it is. We just try to realistically set the right schedule. And that's why I said we don't have an exact ETA for it at the moment. And with that being said, the last thing I want to say here is our next Strapi Best Practices is coming up on January 18th. It's typically at 1 p.m. CST time, US time. You could see all the other times here on the card. You could join Derek and I and a lot of our community users on Discord. And if you're not on Discord, go ahead and jump on and join. But you could join us where we talk about more advanced features. Again, the point of having these Strapi best practices is to provide educational material to bring everybody's level of Strapi development understanding to a higher level. Let's see if there's any other questions. And then the question, will there be a possibility in the future to speed up the Strapi Cloud instance? Do you mean the amount of time that it takes to deploy, or what is exactly, what exactly do you mean by the question? I could definitely ask the cloud team. I'm just not sure from what you said. And if you have any other questions, let us know while we're here. You know, we are open. We are doing little Q&A here, but I see that, let's see here. You know, I'm looking through the questions. So the performance of the actual hosted CMS on your side, I think from V3 to V4, we did make major performance improvements. So I'm not sure, is there a particular bottleneck that you are hitting? You could post that question on Discord and talk about, you know, kind of like what specifically are you running into? Because, you know, that's such a wide topic that could be. Yeah, I will speak in the Discord channel. That'd be perfect opportunity and place as well. We'd love to hear more about what performance issues or what you're experiencing. And then how can I join Strapi, an open source product designer? So right now, like basically what we're doing is you are able to join through GitHub and just take a look at the code, and you could provide your feedback on the code that we have. That's kind of like.
Also, if you are like, what kind of designer are you? Like, are you like a code designer, or are you like an actual designer?
Right, so that's a good question.
Because if you are like an actual designer, then I would say, for example, you could help Strapi with, for example, designing some, like, for example, you looked into an issue yesterday. There was no slider in Strapi designs, for example.
Yeah. So that is a good point. So yesterday I was looking at, we have our Strapi design system, and let me just find it and show you the link here. You could take a look here. If you're a designer, this will be actually a good place to start design systems, because I can't type. You could go to components, and you have all the components available in Storyblock, and you could take a look at all the available components that we have in Storyblock. And for instance, we do not have a slider, but I know it's my kitty cat saying hello everybody. I'm going to put you on this side because you like to play with wires that doing live stream are not a good plan. And what I would say is check out all the components that we have, look at the code. You're able to see all of our build components on GitHub. And if you see anything missing, and a good example is a slider where you're able to change numerical value via slider, that doesn't exist. So you could create that, and you could make a pull request to design systems as Strapi. So that'll be like the way to get started and do things. So let's see.
And also, if you're using Design and you can't code at all, you can still make some designs for that.
Right.
Code it up.
That is true too. You could literally just do the design for it and share it as well. So good point, Boegie. So any other questions? I know we are about to come on time. While we see for any last minute questions, we can't continue this conversation on Discord. So if you're on Discord, go ahead and join us there. Let me throw the Strapi Discord link for you here, just so you can find it. And join us, have the conversation. And my God, my brain's breaking because I'm typing. I don't know what it is. I can't type. It's like the thing. And so I shared our Discord. You can join us there. And if there's no last questions, I know we're on time. I want to say huge thank you to you, Boegie, for jumping on. It's been really, really amazing. It's really cool. I want to thank you for everything you do for the community. We have so many other amazing community members, people that give their time to help out just because you love what you do. And like you said, Strapi is not perfect, like no any other software is. And we try to do our best in the community to work on things to make things better. And I love the fact that you shared your plugin with us today. That's now on the marketplace, is that you found a need, you found a thing, and instead of waiting for like Strapi to have this feature. You just build it yourself with plugin. And I think, looking at everything with Strapi, that is so amazing that we have this ability to give the power to somebody using the ability to build plugins themselves and add them to Strapi. Like, for instance, I played around with another plugin because I wanted to make an LMS system and I needed something to host videos. So we have a Mux plugin, which is like pretty amazing, which allows you to utilize their video hosting service easily within Strapi. And that's something that not exist. They went ahead and built it, and now it exists. And so that's the power we all developers, this ability to add new features and extend Strapi via plugins, custom fields. So go, if you never build a plugin, just build one for fun. Why not? And with that being said, thank you, Boegie, for everything. Thank you all in the chat.
No problem.
Thank you all in the community. We want to thank you for all your support. And we love you so much. And we want to continue as the Strapi team to improve the product to make sure that we all continue to grow together. So thanks and take care, everyone. Bye.